Have you ever stopped to consider the first sound of your name? Not the name itself, but its first vibration. It is the sound that has called you back to yourself since you took your first breath. What if this sound is not an accident? What if it is a current of energy, a riverbed carved by your soul to guide the flow of your life? Ancient wisdom teaches us that nothing in our journey is without purpose. Every pattern, every symbol, is a whisper from the source. These are not mere ideas, they are energies. They live within all of us, in a quiet, shared river of knowledge that flows beneath the surface of our waking minds. These deep currents reveal themselves not only in our dreams, but in the most common of things, even the first letter of our own name. It is not an adornment, it is a bridge. It connects the world you see with the universe you carry inside. This first vibration of your name is like a quiet tuning fork for your soul. It is the first note others feel, a silent signal of your deepest nature. But I invite you to see this not as a definition that traps you. The path to wisdom is about awakening, not about building cages. It is the discovery of what is already living inside you, shaping your journey from the silent spaces. Think of each letter not as a label, but as a current of energy, a sacred way of being that your soul chose, a song it wanted to sing in this lifetime. A, the way of the pioneer. If your name begins here, your soul carries the first light of dawn. It does not ask for permission. It simply rises. Like the first mountain peak that greets the sun, there is an energy here that must begin. Those on this path often feel a calling to step forward, not to command, but to be the first breath of movement when all else is still. Deep within this soul, there is a sacred restlessness, a quiet knowledge that a new path must be walked. But all light casts a shadow. The fire that starts a journey can become impatient. The need to be first can sever the connection to the slow, deep rhythm of life. The practice for this soul is to feel the earth before taking the first step. Not to force the dawn, but to inspire it. Their gift is not control, but courage. Be the way of the sower. If this is your sound, your soul knows how to create sacred ground. Arises but beholds. It is a shape that contains, like cupped hands holding water. It does not shout for attention. It offers sanctuary. Souls on this path carry the energy of the great caregiver. Their strength is not in being seen, but in truly seeing. The shadow of the sower is forgetting the self. In giving nourishment to all, their own roots may wither. The practice is learning to receive as freely as they give, to build fences for their own garden. When this is learned, they become the silent earth that holds the community, offering peace through their unwavering presence. See the way of the current. If your name begins with this vibration, your soul is a flowing river of expression. It is open, turning, moving. It resists stillness. Souls on this path are the storytellers. They find words for what others feel but cannot name. They are explorers of the mind, gathering ideas like a river gathers stones. The shadow of this current is the fear of silence. The constant need to speak or move can be a way to avoid the deep, quiet pools of feeling. The practice is to pause, to allow words to rise from the heart, not just the mind. When this balance is found, they become a living bridge, helping others cross from confusion to clarity. D, the way of the stone. If your name begins with D, your soul carries the quality of the mountain, stable, reliable, grounded. This energy does not drift, it builds. It moves with deliberation, honoring the step-by-step journey. They understand that strong things are built slowly. Whether it is a home, a life, or a dream, they respect the structure. The shadow of the stone is rigidity. The world flows and changes, and the mountain that cannot yield to the wind may crack. The practice is to learn the strength of water as well as stone. When this way is walked in balance, they become the bedrock others depend on, the steady presence that helps others build what is meant to last. E, the way of the horizon. For a soul whose name starts with E, there is always a pull toward what lies beyond. The energy here is of the eternal seeker. The student who knows every answer opens a new door. They are moved by inquiry and a deep need to understand. These souls carry many worlds within them, a tapestry of questions. The shadow of the horizon is to be scattered by the wind, to always be moving and never landing. Wisdom is not only gathered, it is distilled in stillness. The practice is to sit and watch the breath, to learn that silence can also be a guide. In balance, they become a source of transformation, not through noise, but through a fresh wind of perspective. F, the way of harmony. This soul's energy moves like a quiet breeze, creating balance through graceful presence. They feel the world in its most subtle rhythms and are naturally drawn to peace. These are the peacemakers, the souls who instinctively know how to soften conflict and find the middle path, like a river finding its way between two banks. The shadow of this path is to silence one's own truth to keep the peace. Their practice is to learn that true harmony includes their own voice. When this path is walked with awareness, they become a force of quiet elegance, softening rooms simply by entering them, guided by empathy, not by ego. G, the way of the cave. This soul's resonance is one of introspection and deep stillness. The shape of the letter itself turns inward, like a path to a hidden sanctuary. This is not the energy of the bright sunlight, but of the quiet inner world. These souls often feel a strong pull inward, to observe more than they speak. They know truth is not always found in the noise. It is discovered in the silence. The shadow here is a retreat that becomes isolation. The practice is to learn when the silence is for healing and when it is for hiding. When this way is balanced, they become quiet guides, able to hold the pain of others without the need to fix it. H, the way of the bridge. A soul whose name starts with this sound carries the sacred energy of connection. H stands between two worlds, linking what is separate. These souls see both sides of a mountain. They understand the language of logic and the whispers of the heart. Their journey is to unite these opposites. They are natural integrators, showing that truth is often found in the union of different things. The shadow of the bridge is to be stuck in the middle, in chronic indecision. The practice is to understand that a bridge's purpose is not just to exist, but to be crossed. When awakened, these souls become living links, teaching that wholeness comes from embracing all parts of the self. I, the way of the pillar. This soul's vibration is one of singular, centered presence. Like a pillar, it stands straight, unbending. There is a deep, quiet need here to remain true to one's own inner core, even if it means standing alone. This energy is about alignment, a direct connection between the earth below and the sky above. The shadow of the pillar is to stand so tall and alone that it forgets its connection to the forest around it. The practice is remembering that true strength does not require isolation. When this way is walked in balance, these souls become beacons of integrity, their very presence a compass that helps others find their own way back to themselves. J, the way of the inner fire. If your name begins with J, your soul is moved by a deep, transformative joy. This is not the fleeting happiness of the surface, but the radiant warmth of a fire that has been carefully tended. There is a mythic quality here, a sense that life must be lived with passion, and a powerful commitment to justice born of love. They are warriors of the heart. The shadow of this fire is the desire to save everyone, to burn so brightly for others that their own flame consumes them. The practice is to tend their own hearth first, understanding their role is not to light every path, but to be a steady flame. K, the way of the unveiling. This soul carries a fierce and clarifying light. It is the warrior of truth, the one who cuts through fog with a sharp blade of perception. They have an almost preternatural sense for what is real and what is illusion. They are catalysts. Their presence in a still pond creates ripples that lead to movement. They ask the questions that hang unspoken in the air. The shadow of this blade is that it can become harsh, cutting without compassion. The practice is to wield clarity with a gentle hand, remembering that a mirror's purpose is to reveal, not to shatter. L, the way of the deep well. This soul moves with the quiet strength of the deep listener. They create sacred space just by being still. Their capacity to hear is not with the ears alone, but with their whole being. Water rests in a well, reflecting the sky. So too, These souls reflect the truth of others back to them. Their empathy is a form of active compassion. The shadow of the well is that it can be drained by giving too much away. The practice is to know their own depth and to honor its limits. As ancient wisdom reminds us, you cannot pour from an empty vessel. In balance, they are a source of relational alchemy, helping others feel truly seen. M, the way of the sacred architect. A soul beginning with M carries the profound and patient energy of the one who makes form from dreams. This is not the energy of a fleeting idea, but of the mountain that is built, stone by stone, over millennia. They understand that true creation demands both the spark of vision and the steady fire of dedication. They are builders, not of things, but of legacies. The shadow of the architect is to take the weight of the whole mountain upon their own shoulders. The practice is learning to build with others, to trust the foundation. When they find this balance, they build not just structures, but communities. N, the way of the flowing stream. This soul moves with the intuitive grace of a stream navigating the forest. They seem to have an inner compass that guides them around obstacles and through uncertain terrain. This is not weakness, but the adaptable strength of water. They know how to bend without breaking, how to move with what is. The shadow of the stream is that in its constant flow, it can erode the banks of its own being if it is not grounded. The practice is to remember the stillness of the deep riverbed beneath the moving surface. In balance, these souls become a living example of trust in the journey. Oh, the way of the circle. If your name starts here, your soul carries the timeless energy of the unbroken circle, whole, complete, with no beginning and no end. These are the witnesses, the ones who see with a clarity that pierces through the surface of things. They do not need to be the center of the world, for they understand they are the center of their own world. This brings a deep, quiet peace. The shadow of the circle is detachment that becomes a wall, forgetting that wholeness includes connection. The practice is to remember that the circle is a sacred container that can hold both solitude and communion. P, the way of the North Star. The energy of this soul burns with a focused, unwavering light. This is the energy of purpose. But it is not a purpose born of personal gain. It is a commitment to something larger, a devotion to service. They move through life not by drifting, but by navigating by this inner star. They become leaders, not by demand, but because their own path is so clear that others use it to find their way. The shadow of the star is a rigidity of direction, an unwillingness to see other paths. The practice is learning that even the most focused light can be soft, that true strength knows when to bend. Q, the way of the seeker's question. A soul that begins with Q carries a rare energy. It is the sacred question that lives behind every answer. They are at home in the spaces between what is known and what is not yet known. They find comfort in mystery. These souls challenge the solid ground others stand on, not to destroy, but to reveal the deeper truths that lie beneath. The shadow of the question is a doubt that paralyzes, a search that never trusts its own findings. The practice is to find rest in the question itself without needing every answer. In doing so, they make space for forgotten wisdom to rise. R, the way of the resonant heart. This soul vibrates with the deep, full frequency of life itself. They do not just feel, they feel with their entire being, without holding back. This is the energy of the artist, but their art is life itself. In relationship, in creation, in feeling. They are the untamed river, powerful and expressive. The shadow of this powerful river is that it can overflow its banks, becoming lost in the flood of its own emotions. The practice is learning to be both the river and the riverbank, to feel deeply while remaining grounded. In balance, they become a living song, reminding others of what it means to be fully human. S, the way of the wending path. The soul that starts with S carries the fluid wisdom of the serpent. It moves with a serpentine grace, understanding that life does not move in a straight line. It is a path of curves, changes, and transformations. They are natural healers, but they heal by teaching others how to flow, how to move around what feels like an unmovable stone. The shadow of this path is losing one's own center in the constant movement, becoming lost in the dance. The practice is to feel the still point within the turning world, to flow from a place of deep inner stillness. T, the way of the guardian. A soul that begins with T stands like a great, ancient tree, a pillar of integrity. It is rooted deeply in what is right. They possess an unshakable inner compass that guides them, not with loud words, but with quiet, unwavering presence. They guard sacred principles through their own example. They lead by being. The shadow of the great tree is a rigidity that cannot bend in the storm. The practice is learning that truth is not a weapon to wield, but a shelter to offer. In balance, they become the unwavering standard, a living reminder of what it means to live with courage and honor. U, the way of the open vessel. If your name begins here, your soul embodies the profound grace of emptiness that holds all things. Like an empty bowl, this soul creates a space so safe and accepting that others can finally lay down their masks. They are natural healers, but their healing comes not from doing, but from being. They witness another's journey without judgment. The shadow of the open vessel is being emptied without being refilled, giving until there is nothing left. The practice is to understand that a vessel needs its own walls, that sacred boundaries are what make true giving possible. V, the way of the visionary's arrow. The soul that begins with V carries the energy of a sharply focused arrow, flying straight to the heart of the matter. They see through the fog of confusion to the truth waiting beyond. This is the gift of piercing clarity. They are strategists of the soul, but their strategy is about pure alignment, not manipulation. The shadow of the arrow is tunnel vision, seeing only the target and missing the beauty of the landscape it flies through. The practice is to honor both the journey and the destination, to hold the bow with a soft hand. In doing so, they show others how to find clarity. W, the way of the weaver. This soul carries the beautiful complexity of the weaver, the one who brings many different threads together to create a magnificent whole. They are comfortable with things that seem to oppose each other, holding many truths at once without conflict. They understand that life is not simple or flat, but layered and rich. Their gift is integration. The shadow of the weaver is becoming tangled in too many threads, overwhelmed by complexity. The practice is learning to choose which threads to weave, to create with intention. In balance, they become a living tapestry, showing others how to honor all parts of their story. X, the way of the crossroads. A soul that begins with this rare sound stands at a powerful intersection. It is the keeper of the threshold between one world and another, a point of immense transformative energy. They are comfortable at the meeting place of different realities. They are the catalysts for deep change, the guides who stand in the fire of transformation. The shadow of the crossroads is a feeling of being rooted in no single world, a sense of belonging to none. The practice is learning to be the bridge, but also to find rest on either shore. When they embrace this, they become a living portal for others to walk through, from who they were to who they are becoming. Why? The way of the sacred question. The soul beginning with why carries the eternal why, not a why of doubt, but a why born of boundless curiosity. This is the path of the seeker who must understand things from the inside out. They do not accept truth that is handed to them. They must discover it for themselves, in the landscape of their own heart. They are natural philosophers. The shadow of this seeking is an unending restlessness, an anxiety that comes from always searching and never finding. The practice is to understand that the path itself is the destination. The seeking is a form of finding. Z, the way of the spiral. To begin with Z is to carry the profound energy of completion that is also a new beginning. It understands the great spiral of life, death, and rebirth. These souls carry a quiet wisdom that life is a cycle, not a straight line. They are natural completers, but they know every ending is the start of a new dance. The shadow of the spiral is a detachment from the moment, already looking to the end before the story has been lived. The practice is learning to be fully present in each turn of the dance, even while knowing its impermanent nature. They help others see that life is not a race to be won, but a journey to be embraced. This letter, this first sound, is not a cage. It is a key. It is not a boundary, but a riverbed for your soul's expression. It is the first quiet note in the music you came here to create. The ancient teachings tell us that our greatest task is not to become someone else, but to grow into the person we have always been at our core, with more awareness and more courage. The first vibration of your name has always been with you, quietly guiding you. Now you have heard its silent whisper. The question is not what the letter means, but what you will do with this inner knowing. Perhaps it is time to quiet the world's noise and listen to this sound within your own heart. Perhaps it is time to remember, you are not a person with a name. You are a soul with a sacred resonance, a frequency the world is waiting to feel. The first sound of your being is calling you home. Will you walk the path